everybody, Dr. T here. Today we are going to be discussing the guilt that comes after calling law enforcement on an abuser. The guilt that is felt is sadly very common, and I'm sure a lot of victims have experienced those same emotions. Oftentimes, the abuser will minimize, justify, and normalize their behavior, leading the victim to feel like they are overreacting or blowing things out of proportion by reporting the abuse to the police or by seeking professional support. It can be really confusing trying to gauge the reality of things when they are being made to feel irrational and as if the abuser is perfectly entitled to behave abusive. It's important to remember that hurting, bullying, harassing, intimidating, and threatening someone is not okay or acceptable in any way. Excuse me. It is a serious criminal offense, and abusers made an active decision to behave this way. The only person responsible for any consequences experienced due to their behavior is them. Trauma-related guilt is a very real thing that survivors can experience. Trauma-related guilt is also a liar. It will tell you that you played some part in the abuse, and just as you somehow caused it, you could have somehow stopped it. Let me make this very clear. This is not true. How do I know this is not true? Because at one point or another, most survivors have asked their partner who is abusing them to stop abusing them. And you know what? The abuser doesn't stop. In fact, in many cases, the abuser escalates the abuse from control to intimidation to threats of violence to violence outright to some cases homicide. Now, if survivors truly had some measure of control to stop it, wouldn't the abuser have listened to their request? Except abusers don't. Abusers choose to abuse. No outside influences force them to abuse. Drugs and alcohols don't make them abuse. Previous trauma doesn't force their hand to strike you. It's an abuser's choice each and every time. This could make sense logically, and still your heart can ache and tell you that you feel bad for this person. That it is your fault they are now suffering because you called the cops. Remember, it is not your fault. It is theirs for portraying abusive behavior, and you took action by turning them in to protect yourself. They are now dealing with the consequences of their actions. Once court trials begin, many victims may recant their statements because of the guilt, excuse me, and the fear of what is to come. However, you have to remember that you called law enforcement for a reason. You were scared of your abuser. They decided to hurt you, and you did what you had to do to protect yourself. Recanting your statement to police because of guilt just gives your abusers the opportunity to do it again. And next time, you might not be so lucky. Stand your ground and realize you did what you had to do because of their actions. Take this as an opportunity to get away from the abuse. Yes, it will be hard, and the guilt will be there for a while, but it will eventually dissipate once you realize that you took the first step towards survival. You are not responsible for their actions, and once you heal from that trauma, you can move on into a life without abuse. Abuse is never the victim's fault.
If you or someone you know is in an abusive situation, call the National Helpline at 1-800-799-SAFE or text START to 88788. Everyone deserves a healthy relationship.